hopes. I mean, so I have two young kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, both girls. And so right now there's this whole thing around teach girls to code because we're missing this huge population from computer science. And if you think of computer science as really communication science, which it really is at the end of the day, it's very ironic that the people who are making the communication systems, first off, tend to not be the world's greatest communicators. They've opted out of a lot of the social benefits of being in college to be in the lab. I started out in computer science. I remember those days very, very well. And it's much friendlier and easier to talk to a computer. They tend not to make fun of you. But the worst part of it is the culture around it also tends to reject difference in thinking. So if you aren't very logos oriented, if you are more into the pathos or ethos, computer science tends not to be the draw for you in its current paradigm. So this whole teach girls to code scares me. I want my girls to be scientific. I want them to be mathematicians, but I don't want them to be computer scientists because I think the future of the problems that need to be solved are going to come out of what we've traditionally known as computer science. Computer science, is, in my opinion, is stuck within a framework that, if you think about it, is very fragile. And I use fragile in the sense of Nassim Taleb in his book Anti-Fragile. Fragile insofar as the worse it gets, the worse the code performs. So software today is designed hierarchically. It's designed in sort of a biodome model, meaning that the architect tries to figure out all the variables, put a rule set in place, and then it governs that application. And with the sensorization of computers in these systems, more information is coming into these very weak systems already, which cause them to break in really ugly ways. For sensor data to get to sense making and to ultimately to sentience, you need to have a fully different approach to computer science. It needs to be more in the model of complex adaptive systems. It's a more ecological manner. So it's anti-fragile, meaning the worse it gets, the better the applications perform. So we talk about robust and we talk about resilient applications, and it's all BS because the model isn't fundamentally right. It's structurally wrong. So part of my desire and hope for the future is that we're coming into a world of intuitive computing. And that intuitive computing is going to really upset the apple cart of what we know as computer science. And it invites people who up until now have been really on the margins, if not stuck in, kicked out, jettisoned from those groups, to join the conversation about what communication applications should look like. Because there's a half a population that's absolutely missing, and we communicate differently. Women do, and not just women, but it's a yin and yang thing. There's designers, male designers, and there's artists, communicators that communicate fundamentally different. But this one subgroup of our culture has dictated how we should work, how we should communicate. And they like symbols. Symbols are neat. There's no pathos in it. There's no ethos. But those people that are ethos-focused and pathos communicators need to join the conversation for communication science to jump out of this very fragile archetype of hierarchical command line programming, out of the biodome and into the jungle. And that's intuitive computing. And it's not here yet. The languages have not been specified. The way in which we go about it, as far as we can tell, do not exist. So that's when we look out into the freaky future. Intuitive computing is what comes after anticipatory.